morning. It's good to be here with you. This has been one of those weeks. Been very, very busy for some reason. I know everyone's busy, and we're no different. We're busy, but it just seemed like this week was worse for some reason. I was sitting there thinking, and I counted up. There was 3 occasions this week when Gail and I passed each other on the road and waved because she had a kid going one direction and I had to go somewhere else, or had a kid going somewhere else. So we've just been, just seems like everyone's been going home and sleeping and getting up and then going again. It's been a little hectic, but still good. Yesterday, I appreciate those that were there yesterday, or those that thought about us. It was a good time out there on the hill. That's a nice location out there. It was pretty. It was a little hot setting up, but kind of cooled down a little bit, I guess. But it was good. I'm glad that we were able to do that. We are in Matthew this morning, Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12. We'll begin with verse 33 here in a minute, but we're talking about words and how important or how meaningful sometimes words can be. I remember as a kid, everyone's heard the old saying, sticks and stones, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Well, that's a good idea, and it's a good thought, but it's just not the truth. Someone could jump out of the bushes and just whip the tar out of you, and that's going to hurt. But in a little while, you're going to heal up from that, and you're going to go on about your business. Someone can say something to you that hurts you on the inside, and it can bother you for the rest of your life. I mean, words can hurt. And words, in fact, what people say, and oftentimes, and far too often, this is kind of why we have to guard as Christians what we say, because sometimes we say things and we're not even thinking about it, but yet we may hurt others. And we're obviously not trying to, we just saying something, but we end up hurting someone, and that can really, growing up for me, I don't remember any of the beatings Mom and Dad gave me. I mean, there was plenty, and I deserved them all, probably deserved more. Okay, I don't really remember those, but I do remember the times that my mom and dad verbally said something to me that hurt me. Not you idiot, but said, I'm really disappointed in you. Those things is what sticks out in my mind. Not the physical. So the words are so important. In fact, we know this is God's word, that He sent to us. But God, in creation, God didn't have a magic hat and a wand and said abracadabra, boom. He wasn't a magician. He used words to create. That's how powerful words are. God spoke things into existence. Now think about that, And for us, on a much smaller scale, I believe that we can speak things into existence, not a solar system or anything. But sometimes when we're talking and we're always, well, that's just my luck. Sometimes we kind of talk ourselves into, you know what I mean? So we have to kind of be careful and guard our words and how we talk to ourselves and to others. I know that sometimes at a football game, in the crowd, a lot of times, the people who talk the most and are the loudest know the least. But what'd you do that for? There's a guy on my staff, he played at Glenville, and he tells a story, and it's quickly I'll share it with you, but it's pretty funny. Thank you, sir. I had one back there, I forgot. I'll drink them both. In college football, a lot of college football schemes, they have 2 basic run plays, an inside zone and an outside zone, and that's it. So that's all they've got. It's not like you're running a whole different bunch of stuff. So they ran the inside zone play on first down, and they got stuffed, and people in the back, why'd you run that play for? It's stupid. So they called it again, and it broke off. Oh, it broke for about 12 yards or so. And they're like, see, that's better. That's a better play call. It was the same play. But that's generally how this thing works. And those that sometimes talk the loudest and talk the most know the least, as we have, as I'm sure you've had your own experiences in those situations. So we need to be careful. We're not just running off at the mouth, right? So or someone, I saw somewhere it says, if you're going to shoot your mouth off, make sure your brains are loaded. That might be some good advice. I better write that down for myself. All right, Matthew chapter 12, starting with verse 33. It says this: either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For a tree is known by its fruit. Okay? Now, there are people that I know that can go out into a forest and look at the bark of a tree or a leaf of a tree and say, oh, that's a maple. And I can do that a little. Yeah. I can do some of that, but I can't do them all, you know. But if you give me an apple tree with some apples on it, I can tell you that's an apple tree. You know, we go down south, we see peaches on a peach tree. That's a peach tree right there. You know, I can identify those. You know, I'm good at that. So the thing is, though, we as anyone, Christian or not, we produce fruit. Our lives produce. We can. Other people can kind of get an idea of who we are by the fruit that we produce. Okay? Now, we want to make sure that as a Christian, you see, when we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, we're going to heaven. All that's good. But now we should, I think about this sometimes. Our life, my life as a pastor, as a Christian, it's now my life's kind of like a billboard for Jesus. It's like an advertisement. Right. I'm a walking advertisement for Jesus. Some days we better just take the sign down. But I really am. We truly are. We are walking advertisements for Christ. And people are going to look at us. And honestly, a lot of times people will be looking for a fault within us so that they can make themselves feel better when they're not where they're supposed to be. They'll be like, oh, well, I don't go to church, but look at that person. They go and look, So, yeah. So we have to be mindful of that. We have to make sure that whenever someone's just simply walking by us, they could look and say, as looking at an apple tree or a peach tree, they say, that's Christian. I've heard this before. If you were arrested and taken and put on trial for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? If you were arrested for being a Christian was against the law, and you were arrested for it and put on trial for it, would there be enough evidence in your life to be able to convict you of it? Something to think about, So we need to make sure that again, we're known by our fruit. We need to make sure that we are producing fruit so that others can see us and see, not see us, but see Christ through us, see God's mercy and love through us. That's what we want to make sure we present. Jesus is speaking here, and he says, brood of vipers, you bunch of snakes. That's kind of cruel. How can you, being evil, speak good things? Here it is. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Okay? Out of the abundance of the heart. In other words, what's truly on the inside, sooner or later, is going to come out your mouth. Sooner or later. Okay? Jesus said in other places, he said, what you put into your mouth doesn't defile you. It's what comes out that defiles you. Because they were all worried about eating clean food, not unclean food, and all this under the law stuff. Mm-hmm. Jesus is like, we really don't have to worry about what you're putting in your mouth. It's what comes out of your mouth. That's what gets you in trouble. So it's out of the abundance of the heart. So what that tells me is just me without the love of Christ within me, without God's love in me, without the blessings on me, what comes out of me isn't very good. So I need to make sure that I'm filling my heart with the right things. You see, we're all like an empty vessel. All of us are. Like an empty jar, an empty pot. That's just being a human being. And we can fill ourselves with good, or we can fill ourselves with bad, but you're going to get filled. One way or the other. Okay? Jesus also said that, this was Paul in Romans. He said, we're either a slave to Christ or we're a slave to sin. As you see, but in each scenario, we're a slave to something. All right? So we're either a slave to Christ or we're a slave to sin. So we're either going to be filled with good things or we're going to be filled with bad things, but we're going to be filled with something. So we got to make sure that we're filling ourselves with the right things. Okay? I know that sometimes, we have satellite radio, and the reason we have is because they have like kid stations where they take songs, but they make them kid friendly, so our kids can listen to stuff without having to, anyway. But there's some songs on there that I'm not paying attention to them. I'm driving down the road, and I'm like, oh, they call this music, ugh. We all been there. I mean, give me a guitar and some chords. Don't just play like a computer. Come on, man. Anyway, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't like this. I don't really say it to the kids. They know how it feels. Whatever. But then, the next day, I'll be out doing something, and here I am whistling or humming one of those tunes from one of those dumb songs that these kids. See, I'm filling myself with it. I don't even know. You see? I don't even know I'm filling myself with it, but I am, because I've heard it, and I don't even, I'm not really paying attention to it, but it somehow got in there, So we got to make sure we're filling ourselves with the right things, okay? Because eventually, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth's going to speak. So if we're putting a bunch of, I feel like my mom's pretty good at this. My mom she doesn't really just talk. She won't say a bad thing about anybody. Like, Mom's just you and me. Tell me what you really think. But she just won't do it. She just won't, I remember one time we was talking about someone, and she's like, oh, she said, I know I shouldn't say this. And I was like, oh, good. It's like, okay. She's like, I know, I just shouldn't say this about that. She's like, but, sometimes they're just not very nice. Really, Mom? Wow. That's your big thing, So we have to really, because I've been guilty of just, we'll talk about coach's office, we'll get in there, they'll talk about, Timmy's dad, who didn't play football, probably watches it on TV, and thinks he's, God's gift to football, and second guesses every, how it goes. And they're like, yeah, and then boom, boom, before you know it, here we are attacking Timmy's dad, right? Oh, there is a kid named Timmy on the team. That's not really, I was trying to just come up with a random name, but he's a freshman, he's new, I got to get used to that. Okay, but the point is, we just, sometimes you can just, before you realize it, you're just talking and you don't even really realize it, but before you know it, you're just, just spewing stuff out that you're not even really, we have to be careful. We have to fill ourselves with good things, because as Jesus said here, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. And an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. Verse 36, but I say to you that for every idle word men may speak, they will give account of it in the day of judgment. All right? Whoa. Whoa is right. Okay? Yeah. Now, I remember my dad saying this when I was growing up, and I've experienced it myself now that I'm the pastor of Murphytown Baptist Church. Now that I'm a pastor as well, I've had people, say something they shouldn't, realize it, and look at me and say, oh, I'm sorry, Pastor. Don't be apologizing to me. I'm not your judge. I'm not, but you don't worry about this guy. And my dad has said that too. He's like, so he said, people have said to him, boy, you should have told me he was a pastor. I never would have said that. Well, it's not, what makes the difference if there's a pastor standing there or not, because there's a God in heaven who's every idle word, who's way better, going to be a lot, way more important and a higher position. Do you realize that in heaven we don't even need pastors? We won't even need them.
Be on the unemployment line.
Exactly. We won't need them because, our job as a pastor is to try to do our best to help and lead and point you towards God. But in heaven, everyone's going to be like, he's right there. Won't need a pastor, you know? So it's not like we're high on the food chain, if that makes sense. And the godly thing, because the Bible tells us that we're all supposed to be ministers.
That's right.
We're all supposed to be ministers. We're all supposed to teach and help in any way we can with all. So don't be thinking just because a pastor's around. Honestly, if we have to change the way we speak, if there's a pastor present, we're probably not doing it right. I'm just being honest, okay? And I can't get away from mine. Everywhere I go, he's there. My pastor, you know, is me, I guess. That's scary. All right, anyway. So we have to make sure that we are guarding what we say. And it takes practice and it takes time. And there's times, we'll fall down. Now look, here it is. It says in the day of judgment. Now, let's get something straight here first, so we're, we will be judged as Christians. Okay, we will be judged. Now, but we're going to know where we stand before we ever get judged, because there's going to be throne over here for all the unsaved, then the white throne judgment over here. So if you're in line at the white throne judgment, I'm in. Woo! And all that is just accepting Jesus as your Savior. Okay? Once you've done that, white throne, whoop, there we are. Okay? Now this judgment thing, there'll be these awards and crowns given to you for things, but all you're going to do is take those and lay them down at the feet of Jesus, because what in the world did you ever do to deserve anything anyway? Nothing. If you did anything good, it's because he helped you do it, So when it says that we're going to be judged for every idle word, yes, but it's not going to be there saying, okay, well, you said, let me see, title up. You said 5,000 curse words. Sorry, to get into heaven, it had to be 4,999 or lower. Sorry, you're out. That's not what we're talking about here. Okay, because it's not on works. We can't be good enough. We can't be good enough to get to heaven. We can't earn it. Okay, we cannot earn it. You can't earn salvation. It's a gift. God gave it to us. If you accepted it, you're in. But we still are going to be judged on how and what we do with that. Okay? So I'm just making sure everyone understands that. Because I think about that sometimes. Because after a day, it's like, boy, that's not going to be fun someday. Revisit that one. All right. So anyway, we will be judged even for the idle words that we speak. Verse 37. Now check this out. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Now again, it doesn't mean like condemned to hell, but we will be judged by our words. And I believe that this is even in your daily life. I believe that if we use our words to speak life to those around us, it also builds us up. It also helps you. I've seen this before. Like if you are helping someone out that's in a bad situation, and you may not feel like helping them out because you're in a bad place yourself, you're not feeling. But if you go help that person, all of a sudden it helps you both. That's just kind of how that works, So we need to make sure, because I believe this. I believe that in any situation, I've heard coaches say this. I'll use my sports analogy of the day. Here we go. All right. I have heard coaches say that you're either getting better or you're getting worse, but you're never staying the same. Every day, you're either improving or you're getting worse, but you can't just stay the same, because if you're just staying the same, that means someone's getting better, so that means you're getting worse, if that makes sense. Okay? So you're always, one way or the other with that. Well, I believe in any situation, I believe by the words we use and the attitudes we bring, because we've already talked about from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Well, that basically says from your attitude, good or bad that you have, your mouth's going to end up, telling everyone what your attitude is. We're going to start football officially tomorrow, and we're going to run a lot. And there's going to be some kids who are going to be like, yeah, let's go, woo! There's going to be some kids, why are we doing this? I don't understand. This is stupid. There'll be some kids like that. Attitude, right? Okay? But my point is this. I believe in each situation, you've heard the statement, we can either be part of the problem or part of the solution, right? I believe that we're either speaking life and building up, or we're tearing down. I don't know that there's a whole lot of middle ground there with things. Okay. Now, I guess you could just sit in silence, right? You know. But even in every situation, of our lives, I believe that, and it has a lot to do with our attitude, what we think, the abundance of the heart. Okay. This is my last thing. While I'm in closing here, I just shut my Bible to make sure I remind that I told you all that. If I leave it open, I talk all day. Shut Bible, shut mouth. Shut Bible, shut mouth. Anyway, last night, Allie's friend invited her to go spend the night at her house. It's not happening because we're so busy. We were so busy, and we're getting ready to have this week that's going to be even busier with football, and there's the Work County Fair. And all this stuff that we have to do, okay? All this stuff, Allie's bringing a heifer to the barn and showing it and all this grand, wonderful stuff. So she wanted to go spend, and that was going to be a big no, okay? So instead of me standing there going, no, because I said so, I started like tearing it down with my words. Well, Allie, we're just going to be really busy this week coming up. You've got this, and this to do. And if you go there, you spend the night, you know as well as I do, you're going to be up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Is that really what you think you want to do before this week? And by the time I got done talking, she's like, yeah, we'll just wait. It worked. Okay?
You're proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am. That's why I shared it. Doesn't happen every day. That's probably the first one in a year. But anyway, but I was able, from my attitude and my words, I was able to get the situation where I felt like was best for her, But if I'd have just come in there and said, no, can't, deal with it, you see what I mean? Like that probably wouldn't have gone over quite as well, So you can see how it's not just what we say, but it's how we say it. That's also important in this thing, okay? Because I can say, I used to teach English, so I used to talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, if you just take the word stop, if I said, stop, okay. Or if I said, stop, there's a big difference in my meaning. It's the same word. But how I said it kind of implies some different meanings there, right? So we have to make sure, because we can say the right thing, and we're good at this as Christians. We can say the right words, but boy, how we say them. Oh, yeah. We can, right? We have to be careful, not just by what we say, but how we say it. This morning, this altar's open. For Mike, you guys come on up. This altar's open. If anybody needs to come up and pray, it's always open. I'll pray with you if you need me to. You just need some time to spend by yourself. But it is open for you. It always is, but we always want to say that and make sure people realize that too. So it's open this morning. Come on up if you need. Mike, what do we got? What number?
Page 200.